Well, guys, how do we take this one? It's ended nil-nil between Crystal Palace and Man United at Selhurst Park. Now, was this really an amazing performance? Well, it was a very good performance technically. However, does it really matter if we didn't get the result? And that is why this game pisses me off so much. It's because we did everything else, but we were missing those few chances. Let's say that the chance that fell to Garnacho, the two chances that fell to Garnacho, the chance that fell to Zirkzee, the chance that fell to Delict, if these chances were converted, and the Lisandro one as well, if these chances were converted, we'd be having a very different conversation. It's that fine margin that separates us from having a very positive discussion to, well, probably a mild discussion about how the game went. So let's start with, first of all, the lineup. When I saw the lineup, the front three I was completely fine with, right? Rashford is dropped. Garnacho is showing a bit more in games, so I thought, okay, fine. Garnacho starting is a good sign. Then it came to the midfield of Eriksen, Kobe, and Bruno. That really threw me off because I was thinking, okay, I know it worked against Southampton. In that case, a midfield of Eriksen, Kobe, and Bruno probably does work. But the more that we get into games where we are facing attackers who can actually cause us trouble, especially attackers like Eze, Mateta, and Ketia as well on his day, these attackers can cause real harm. And if we were not careful, let's be honest, yeah? Out of all the chances that we had, and we created a fair number of chances, the two best chances of the entire game fell to who? Eze. Eze had both chances, and those were way more clear cut than the chances that we created. I would even say the closest one that we got to a clear chance was the through ball that Dallo put through to Garnacho. Garnacho was one-on-one, and then he messed that up. That was the only chance I would say was a clear-cut chance, right? Apart from maybe the Delict one, maybe the Zirkzee. I would say Zirkzee should have scored his header. However, the chances, the best chances, fell to Crystal Palace. So we have to improve on that. The chances that we're creating, they can be a little bit better. I know we can complain about, well, our strikers aren't finishing, our midfield isn't finishing the chances. But at the end of the day, you have to think maybe they're not finishing because the quality of the chances that are created could be better. Now, this is not me taking anything away from the general performance, however. Like ignoring the result, which is pretty difficult to do. The patterns of play that we saw today was actually pretty impressive. The passes between each and every individual was good. We kept possession. However, that brings me to my first criticism of today. We did keep possession and we did not let Palace into the game too much in the first half. The first half was arguably one of the best controlling performances that I've seen for maybe the last 1 year or so from United. But there was problems. What are the problems? Number one, our build-up was way too slow, right? You see teams who transition well, like let's say maybe Arsenal, let's say Liverpool. They transition high and fast and quick. But we take our time, we try to play it slow, and when we try to play it slow, that is when we keep messing up. The more we move the ball faster, right? The more we can create chances, we can actually threaten the opposition, we can surprise the opposition, we can make them think, okay, we were not expecting that, what do we do now? And then everybody scrambles here and there, and that's when we attack, and then we finish them. But we struggle with that a lot. We don't finish them when we need to. And the second part, contributing to the slow build-up, was the fact that while we were building up slow, most of the ball was us passing amongst our centre backs and Onana. So I'm pretty sure, right? I haven't checked the stats yet, but I'm pretty sure Lisandro and De Ligt had the most touches throughout the game. Just visually, that's what I could see. Because whenever the ball was with us, we were keeping possession, but we were mostly cycling the ball amongst De Ligt, Lisandro, and Onana in that triangle. And then occasionally Dallo or Mazraoui, well, they were in the midfield mostly, but whenever one of them dropped back into centre back, they would get in on the action as well. But then we'd pass it back again. We'd try a long ball. And it was a bit jaded, but the thing is, we were missing one more thing. That brings me to my second criticism, and that is we did not have somebody in the first phase of play to take the ball off the centre backs. If we had that, I'm pretty sure we would have played even better than we played today, in the first half especially. What we are looking for is somebody in the mold of Tony Kroos. Somebody who can take the ball off the centre back instantly and then distribute it to either Kobe or Bruno Fernandes. And then they can move it even further. But because we have that disconnect, Eriksen, Mino, and Bruno are standing in the same line, but they're all trying to attack. They're looking for the ball from Lisandro, the ball from De Ligt. Okay, they can play the ball, right? But sometimes you do need that connector in between these two, right? Because they are all trying to make that run forward, but Lisandro and De Ligt are not going to nail each and every ball that they put through. Sometimes you need that man in between. And that brings me to, like I said, De Ligt, who I felt had a very good game. This game, I would say, was better than his game against Southampton. Because I know he scored, but he was firstly a threat in the box, right? Anytime that we had a corner, he was a threat. And he made interceptions at the right time with aggression, but he timed the aggression correctly. And that is where he was a difference from Lisandro Martinez today. Because while he played good balls through, the problem is Lisandro was aggression minus the composure, which De Ligt appeared to have today. But let me tell you one thing about De Ligt. De Ligt, as amazing as he is, as much as I wanted him in, as much as I think he'll still be a good player, right? I don't have much doubts about him. I can guarantee you one thing. De Ligt is going to score a couple of own goals this season. And don't be surprised by it, because the way that he plays, the way that he conducts himself, it's bound to happen. It's just about when that's going to happen. But we just have to back De Ligt, because De Ligt is showing us that he should be the partner to, when I feel, Lenny Yoro when he comes back, and Lisandro should either go to the bench or slot in on the left-hand side. But even on the left-hand side, I have to say, today, Dalot was amazing, especially going forward. All his passes, especially that Dalot-Garnacho connection in that first half, was amazing. Garnacho was making the right runs and Dalot was pinging in the right balls. We were actually working as a unit, especially Zirkzee's link up today was amazing. He was out of this world. Every chance Zirkzee got, he linked up very well. Somehow, Bruno Fernandes always destroyed that play. But you know what? That's the drawback that you get with an attacking midfielder like him. Like, let's even go back to the Barnsley game, right? We scored 5 goals without Bruno on the pitch. I know he got the 2 assists afterwards, but that is what you can get if you don't have somebody like Bruno Fernandes always trying to launch that ball forward. Instead, if you have 3 midfielders who can control play, it's going to equate to the entire team playing better as a whole. It's like we saw today as well. Everybody was on the same page. Everybody was trying to play technical. We had so many technical players on the pitch today, right? Zirkzee, we had Ahmad, we had Kobe, Eriksen, Mazraoui, De Ligt, Lisandro, and Dalot. We had all these players who are very technical. And that showed today why we were able to play through Palace. Even though Palace were poor, let's be honest. Palace were not at their best. They came into the second half much better, but generally, this is not the Palace that we saw last season. Let's say when Glasner came in, this was not the Palace that we saw back then. The one that beat us 4-0 last season, yeah, very different. So, we have to understand that there are a few drawbacks, but there were some very good performances as well. Like I said, Eriksen, as much as I thought the lineup was wrong, right, that we were going to get overrun, offensively, we were actually pretty decent. I know we didn't score, obviously, right? If we had scored, the game would have been different. However, the chances that we were creating, well, yes, they could have been of a better quality, but it's a good starting step. If we can develop on this in the coming games, right? We have Spurs, we have Villa. Those are going to be even more difficult games. But if we can show some sort of patterns of play, something similar to what we did today, I think that's a good step forward. And we have to just see how it's going to go from there. But every time that we were attacking Palace, and every time they were counter-attacking us, there was a big difference. Because when we were attacking, we looked very solid. The second they tried to counter on us, every time Ten Hag's tactic of playing 3 attacking midfielders got exposed. Because obviously, when you have 3 attacking midfielders, how or where is the defensive support going to come from? And that was a problem from the start. But if we can fix that, right? Well, in the future, what we need is We need Ugarte slotting in, obviously. And when he came on, he was pretty solid. I would say he had a decent performance, even though it was limited minutes. And if we can slot Ugarte in with, I know what I said about Casemiro before, but Casemiro and Ugarte and Ericsson, that should be our midfield ideally. I know Kobe, I know how good he is, but he needs to be on the bench for a bit because we're going to just run him dry if we keep playing him like this. And Bruno is not the best for what we need to be looking for. So Ericsson, Casemiro, Ugarte should work, but I don't see that happening, honestly. But end of the day, it was a pretty good performance, but we cannot really say it was a good performance exactly because guess what? We didn't win. And winning is the name of the game. So, well, if we didn't win, then we failed our objectives. So, yeah, I guess we move on. But at the end of the day, the performance was decent. We take it and we'll move on to Tottenham Hotspurs. But if we can play anything like this, or maybe we can play a little bit better, slightly better, maybe take it to Tottenham at Old Trafford, I think that's a good step and we could maybe win that. I still have a feeling that we're going to win that game 2-1. But let's see how that goes. So see you all in the next one. And yeah, on to the next one.